Today, I'm joined by someone who has spent the last decade shaping the beauty and wellness industry, Estée Lalonde. You might know Estée from her years as a content creator, where she built a loyal community by sharing her honest take on beauty, self-care, relationships, and growth. But in recent years, she stepped into the world of entrepreneurship as the founder of Mirror Water, a brand that's redefining self-care through a more mindful, reflective approach to beauty and well-being. If you're someone who's looking to turn a passion into a business, or you just want to hear a fresh perspective on what it means to truly take care of yourself, this episode is for you. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Grace.
Our second big chat, so
I
many
know,
things to go into.
I know.
I'm really excited to hear about updates for Mirror Water and your journey and everything. But could you first tell me whether you were the type of person who always wanted to work for yourself?
I think I always loved the idea of being my own boss, but I didn't always know it was possible. I think when I was growing up, you sort of have to think, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And entrepreneur usually isn't one of those options. But I think as I got older, I think I maybe have a bit of a problem with authority. So I have to work for myself.
You are the only authority that you will take.
Exactly. I'm in charge.
And where did the idea for Mirror Water come from? Because I can imagine that as a creator, you worked with so many different types of brands. So why was it body care that you went into?
So I've been a content creator for 15 years, and I launched my brand Mirror Water 3 years ago. And in the time of being a creator, I worked with so many brands, as you said, and I always thought maybe this is something I could do, but I knew I had to have that product market fit. And so after doing a lot of research and leaning into my own passions, I knew body care and bath products was the thing for me. I felt like it was sort of the last category in beauty to be modernized, and I thought, let's give it a go.
Yeah, I love that. And the product is 10 out of 10.
You love it?
I
know you
really do. And do you remember the first piece of content you ever made?
I do, because it was one of the most awkward experiences of my life. I remember sitting down at my kitchen table when I first moved to England and trying to record a video. It was about my brand new 3 makeup brushes, and the video was 45 minutes long.
Sounds like me.
How? Yeah, but I was really bad and I was super shy in front of the camera. And that's what I always try to tell people is you don't just make your first video and know what you're doing. It is a skill that you need to hone, and it takes a lot of practice. So yeah, we don't all start knowing what we're doing.
I know that all of the stories of like people's first TikToks going completely viral and everything. And it's like, that is amazing. That is truly a skill. Cannot relate.
No, I'm very glad that video did not go viral. I think it had 3 views, 2 being my family members and 1 being me.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Mirror Water has such clear branding. I feel like it very much represents a feeling rather than necessarily a business, which I absolutely love. First of all, how did you create such distinctive branding?
What a huge compliment from you. Thank you. When I was first coming up with the idea for Mirror Water, I was thinking about a feeling and how I wanted the brand and products to feel when the person used them. So I spent a lot of time creating mood boards. I love a mood board. Every night I'm on there making my mood boards, but I needed someone to take my mood board ideas and turn it into something real and something that could work on products and across all of those different touch points. So in the early days, I worked with an amazing graphic designer who really brought the vision to life. But then it's the task of maintaining that for years to come. And then that falls on me. How do I do that?
And so how do you think someone can run and show such a distinctive brand on social media nowadays?
Well, I learned early on that I cannot afford to be using this amazing designer for every single thing that I do. So I use Adobe Express, which has just helped my team so much. I'm a super small team. You know, there's only 3 of us. So we need to be able to work collaboratively. And that's what I love so much about Adobe Express is we can all work on the same task at the same time. So just to give an example, an everyday kind of task for us would be creating a newsletter, Instagram stories, grid posts, and all of it needs to be in line with the same aesthetic. So when you have a tool like Adobe Express, you can just do that so much easier. As a small team, you need to be able to have all hands on deck, and we all need to be able to do those things every single day.
And back in those early days of content creation, right at the beginning, what do you wish you knew then? And what are some things that you wish you could have streamlined?
Oh boy. I mean, I didn't know anything when I started. For starters, it wasn't a job. No one was doing this for a living, so it was really just a hobby. I think having clear branding, I would have loved that in the early days. My very first logo was actually handwritten on a piece of paper that I somehow scanned and uploaded to the computer. I don't know how.
Amazing work.
So I wish I kind of had more of a clear vision from the beginning, but I guess that was sort of the authenticity at the time. Streamlining processes is something that I've always kind of struggled with because it's hard, when you're an entrepreneur doing so many things. But if I look at what I'm doing now compared to what I was doing 10 years ago, it's just a much more seamless experience. I think, back in the day, I was so overwhelmed because I had to learn how to use things like Photoshop and, Illustrator and all these things. I don't have those skills, and everything felt so daunting, and it was almost kind of like a blocker for me in the early days. I mean, now it's so easy. You can use Adobe Express and kind of like get everything done as a one-stop shop, and it's just so much faster. I mean, back in the day, editing a video would take hours.
And so for someone who might be listening and is pretty daunted by the amount of things they need to learn when starting a business and creating content and doing all of these different things, could you tell us a little bit about how you use these tools, even though you are incredibly busy and you are running around a lot, doing lots of different things, wearing lots of different hats?
Yeah, I mean, even this morning, for instance, I was working at my desk, we have a deadline, and we're working on our project. But then I had to leave to come here to talk to you. And just on the way up the stairs, my team was like, can you just check something really quick? And that's what I love so much about Adobe Express is you can use it on a desktop, but then I can also check it from my phone when I'm on the go. I mean, I am always doing something.
It needs to stop.
It's great, but it's hard. So when you have that right in the palm of your hand when you're walking around or something, it just makes everything so much quicker. Otherwise, you got to wait till I'm all the way back at my desk. And at that time, I have to have a cup of tea. And by the time I'm done, it's time to finish work for the day.
Yeah, it's very collaborative.
Yeah.
And how did it feel when making the leap to run Mirror Water and going from kind of doing your own thing to suddenly running sales, operations, marketing, a team?
I don't think I realized how much of a leap it was going to be because, the phrase, you don't know what you don't know, that is certainly true when you're launching your own brand or company of any kind. There is just so much that goes into it that you just could not possibly foresee. But it has been such an amazing experience for me. I'm always problem solving, sometimes too much problem solving, but it's made me feel so empowered. But yeah, it's using a completely different skill set. And I think it definitely gives me a unique perspective because obviously I've been a content creator for so long and now I'm on the other side of it as a brand founder. So I kind of know what each side is thinking. So it kind of makes it easier for me to bring things together.
And when was the last moment that you felt like, okay, this idea is really working, this business is really working?
I think when you get like retail partnerships, something like that, a place like Space NK, Liberty, all of these amazing retailers saying, yeah, we want to launch your brand. That is incredible. But besides that, when we do community activations and we have people come to, if we do a yoga event or something like that, and you actually hear them say, we love your products, we love that feeling, the Mirror Water feeling, it's so nice. And those are the things that kind of keep me going through all of the hard work that comes with it.
And what would you say the hardest part has been of growing your business? And what would be some things that you wish you knew when you were starting out?
There are so many hard parts about starting something like this. But for me, I would say the most challenging has been things like operations, finance, dealing with DHL, having a warehouse in the US, having a warehouse in the UK. I mean, what? You don't get taught these things. So those are some really challenging things for me. I think one thing I wish I knew early on is that it really is okay to ask for help. And I think in the beginning, I was like, I have to do everything on my own and figure this out on my own. Otherwise, I'm going to look like, I can't do this. but ask for help. People have been so supportive of me from the very beginning, and that's what helps you learn.
And if there's someone listening who wants to start their own beauty brand, what advice would you give them?
If someone out there is listening and they want to start a beauty brand, I would say, yes, there are a million beauty brands out there already, but there is always room for something new and something innovative. So don't let that stop you. And the other more practical thing I would say is have a solid business plan. Business plan, business plan, business plan. So important. It took me about a year to really create my business plan in the beginning. And it's not because I had these like crazy plans or anything. It just takes a long time to figure out who your brand is going to be. And you almost have to look at it as an entity. Like if your brand was a city, what city would it be? You know,
like
all these
that.
things that take time.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think it's okay not to know everything at the beginning, but
Yeah.
you have to be actively kind of chiming into like, what is this business? What isn't this business?
Yeah. And it can also change a lot. But I think in order for it to kind of change and grow, you have to have sort of like a baseline, like what is the essence of this company going to be?
And you are a big fan of slow living, which is often at odds with the life of an entrepreneur.
You got that right.
So how do you maintain that balance?
Yeah, I always say I'm the most stressed out person with a relaxation brand. You know, this does go at odds with what I want my life to feel like, but equally I love it. So, you know, it's complicated relationship I have. But I think for me, balance, we all talk about wanting balance. It just doesn't exist. I don't believe balance exists, you know? And for me, it's all about taking the time when I have it and really prioritizing my downtime. So I know you're a huge fan of, you know, productivity, and your productivity method is amazing. And we talk a lot together about, you know, scheduling in your downtime, because downtime is productive too. So for me, as much as I love to be ambitious and work, I like to schedule in my downtime. And I know you do that too.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. You have been absolutely incredible, and I feel very inspired.
Oh my gosh, thanks, Grace. I'm inspired by you every day.